My RGB, 2nd of August 2023, desperate and bankrupt Cuba is re-establishing relations with China and Russia. Cuba has no sources of income. Thus, a blockade would bankrupt the country. While most Americans have been focused on Greg Abbott's border buoys and the indictments of Donald Trump, another issue has received less attention. Cuba has been forging new ties with former friends who have begun violently expressing themselves recently. Russia has been paying close attention to its longtime Latin American friend while fighting to retake its former breadbasket nation of Ukraine. A deal was negotiated during a visit by Russian officials to the island in June through which they will purchase and develop hundreds of hectares of Cuban agricultural property. A Russian hotel and shopping center, gas and oil supplies to Cuba, the modernization of its industrial complexes, weapons for its military and police, and commercial flights to and from 8 Cuban airports are all included in the agreement. The Miami Herald reports that Russia will focus on gaining control of the Caribbean region after dominating Ukraine. The source for this claim is an unknown participant in the talks held in Havana. The Russian naval cruiser Bankrupt made a multi-day port call in Havana in the middle of July, ostensibly as a gesture of goodwill. Before this, Nikolai Patrushev, the head of Russia's security forces, visited Cuba in February and then publicly denounced the U.S., saying it was trying to establish a global colonial empire where only the voice of the West will be heard, and engaging in political repression and military blackmail, financial enslavement, and aggressive propaganda. It's the language that many nations have employed to defend aggressive actions. Meanwhile, China has begun constructing military outposts in friendly nations worldwide, including Cuba, just like the United States did during the 20th century. In reaction to a Wall Street Journal article about Chinese espionage sites in Cuba, the communist nation has undertaken military drills. President Biden revealed in June that we have been aware of a Chinese spy station there since 2019. In his second term as president, Obama worked to improve ties with Cuba as announcing Castro was ceding control and influence before Russia and China started imposing themselves. Then Texas Governor Rick Perry took advantage of the opportunity that Obama's efforts had provided and visited the nation to talk about potential commerce and travel. Perry was accompanied by several business and economic development representatives from the Rio Grande Valley, hoping that new contacts would help the island's economies. Unfortunately, the Republican-controlled Congress opposed Obama's proposal and ended it when he left office. We can only speculate, did we squander an opportunity to de-escalate tensions with Cuba and improve security throughout the Western Hemisphere? Did the Valley pass up the opportunity to establish trade ties with a nation that needs it just as badly as we do and is only a short distance away over the Gulf for a Valley or Russian-launched missile? So it would be reasonable to ask, what if? If we notice fresh activity at the Russian bases, President Kennedy first showed us back in the day, and Chinese balloons began to drift closer to SpaceX,